Hello there, my name is Amanda May and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the Reading Habits book tag, and I had trouble finding the original. I actually think the original video might have been taken down or made private, but either way, going through BookTube, I found multiple versions of this list of questions, and so I'm going to be using the version that was used in the recent World Hoppers video. I will link their video down below, but that is a collaboration between 4 different BookTube channels, and the proceeds all go to charity. So if you haven't checked out World Hoppers, you definitely should. The main 4 members are Elliot Brooks, Joshana, Jessie May, and Bedtime Bookworm. They also bring in other booktubers to participate in like a panel setting, essentially. Yeah. So anyway, they recently did the Reading Habits book tag and I thought it looked like fun, so I'm doing it too. Okay, so the first question is, do you have a certain place at home for reading? And yes, I do. I read in bed. Bed is my favorite place to be. It is the coziest, it is in the warmest room in the house, and oftentimes I will read before bed, so it makes sense to read in bed. Yeah. The next question is bookmark or random piece of paper? And my answer is bookmark. We've been over this before on my channel. I love pretty bookmarks. I love bookmarks that match the color scheme of the cover of the book. So I always try and like pick out a bookmark that matches the color scheme of the book. And also, if I can, matches the feel or the tone that I think the book is going for. So definitely bookmark. Question number 3 is, can you just stop reading or do you have to stop after a chapter or a certain number of pages? So I really don't have any trouble stopping wherever. As long as I have a bookmark, I can figure out where I stopped the next time I pick up the book. So it doesn't bug me to like honestly stop in the middle of a conversation if I really have to, because I have to go like do something else really quick for somebody else. It's not ideal and I don't do it very often if I can help it, but it doesn't bug me really. I would prefer to stop at the end of a chapter or at least at like a paragraph break where, you know, there's like a space between the paragraphs. Maybe there's like some, can you hear my dog? Maybe there's some asterisks or something between the paragraphs, that kind of break. I do prefer to use those as my stopping points, but you know, whenever I have to stop, I have to stop, and that's okay. Dog, what are you sniffing the floor so bad for? Stop. Question number 4 is, do you eat or drink while reading? And no. No, I've also been over this before on my channel. I find it hard to eat while reading because my hands are holding the book open and so I can't use them to also eat. And then I guess you could drink while eating, or well, of course you can drink while eating. You could drink while reading a little easier because you can do that slower, in my opinion. But I will forget that the drink is there. I get really into my books. I will totally forget that the drink is even there, and I will not, like if it's tea or coffee or something, it'll go cold, or room temperature if it's already cold. Yeah, so I just don't even worry about it. I do like to have at least some water by me in case I do get thirsty eventually if I'm reading for a long period of time, but in general, I'm too into the book to know that there's food or water next to me. Question number 5 is multitasking. Do you listen to music or watch TV while reading? And no. If the TV is on, I will be drawn to the TV. If I can hear and understand words, music, or TV in the background, it will be too distracting for me to really get into my book. And I did, however, recently start using my TV in the bedroom for ambiance. I'll go to a YouTube video of like a fire on a lakeside or something. That's my current favorite. It's a little fire next to a lake, so you hear the crackling fire and just like lazy waves washing up on the shore. It's so relaxing and it's so pretty. And so I really like that, having some kind of ambiance in the background. It's winter, it's cold, I like to be warm, and I like fires. So the fireplace or fire outdoors is ideal right now. Maybe I will switch to something a little cooler, but colder in the summer months. I honestly don't know. I only recently started doing this, so we'll see. Question number 6 is one book at a time or several at once? Several at once, definitely. I probably at any time am reading at least 3 books, probably anywhere from 2 to 4. 4 seems to be the max that I can actually switch between the books. Even then, probably one of the books is going to just fall to the wayside and I'll have to wait until I finish another one. So 3 is ideal. I'll have 1 audiobook and 2 physical books. And that is so that I can choose between the physical books what I feel like, what I'm in the mood for that evening. Ideally, at least one of the books that I'm reading will be an adult fantasy, because those are a little denser generally, or they take more out of me to read them. They require more energy for some reason. Maybe because the stakes are higher, or maybe because the characters are more complex. Generally, this is all general, but I like for there to be at least 1 adult fantasy, and preferably not more than 2, because like I said, it takes a lot of energy for me to read them, and so I'll want at least one of the books that I'm reading to not be adult fantasy, in case I just need something a little easier for my brain, or maybe something fluffier. A lot of the adult fantasy I read, this is probably part of it, a lot of the adult fantasy I read is kind of grim, not necessarily grim dark. It's a little more depressing. They're not fluffy books. And so sometimes I want something a little lighter also. And to be honest, if I was reading just 1 book at a time and I didn't feel like reading that book, it would very easily put me in a reading slump, and none of us want that. None of us like reading slumps. So I do try to always be reading multiple things at once, so that when I don't feel like picking up a certain book, I can pick up something else. Or when I finish a certain book, I'm not like automatically in limbo, especially if it was a really good book. Because sometimes when I finish a really good book, I just feel like I'm floating in limbo. I feel lost. I feel like I don't know what to do with myself now. But if I'm already in the middle of this other book over here, it's a lot easier for me to then pick up that other book and start reading again. So those are all my reasons why I like to read multiple books at once. Number 7 is reading at home or everywhere. And I think by everywhere, it means like, do you like to only read at home, or are you okay with reading other places? That's how I'm gonna take it. So I really like reading at home for the most part, because I am able to control my environment. It's quiet in my house, usually, unless my husband's making noise. It's comfy in my house. I have all of my comforts, like I have all of the blankets, I have all of my food. I have a lot of restrictions in what I do and do not eat, so that's a whole thing. I also have my pets in my house that I like to cuddle with. So it's just, I love my house. I'm a homebody. I love being at home. And oftentimes if you take a book somewhere else, it's usually noisier, just in general. Even if I'm like taking it to my parents' house, there's twice as many humans. If we go to my parents' house, we have 4 humans in the house, as opposed to just 2 if we're at home. So it's just more going on. It's harder to concentrate on reading. If I go to a coffee shop, way too many people, way too many noises, usually music in the background at a coffee shop. So it's just, I just want to be at home, guys. I just want to stay home all the time. I have a life. What? Moving on. Number 8 is reading out loud or silently in your head. And similar to the reaction that the world hoppers have or had, who reads out loud? Does anybody read out loud? Unless you're like reading to somebody, which I don't do. Or maybe you're a child. I don't read out loud, obviously. I read silently in my head. Yeah. Also, reading out loud makes you read slower, because you're having to move your mouth to form all of the different words, whereas your brain, for me at least, I can soar through sentences at a much faster rate than if I were having to enunciate all of the words separately. I don't know if that makes sense. Surely, for most people, you can read faster if you're reading silently, for the most part, right? I know when I was younger, I did struggle with like, even my tongue would move when I was reading in my head as if I were reading out loud. So I was a really slow reader, and I'm still not a very fast reader. but I have practiced not doing that. In fact, I've practiced not subvocalizing at all if I can help it. It's really hard. I naturally subvocalize, but I can read so much faster if I don't have to say every word in my head. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, to answer the question, I read silently. Question number 9 is, do you read ahead or even skip pages? Oh no, 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 no. I do not skip pages. And I try really hard not to read ahead. I think I've mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned in one of my videos, if I was like commenting on another person's video, but I will put my hand on the page if I know that something important is about to happen. I'll put my hand on the page and block the rest of the text and read like this line by line, just so that my eyes don't have the option of reading ahead, because they would if they were given that option accidentally. And if I'm like flipping ahead to see like how many pages until the end of the chapter or until this page number or whatever, I will be very careful to like essentially use peripheral vision and only look at the page numbers so that I'm not spoiling myself on what's to come. I try really hard not to read ahead. Yeah, and I can't skip pages. I don't understand. I know some other people, if they're not enjoying a book very much, maybe will skim even, and it hurts because I grew up having to read every word. I was very anal about it and OCD about it, having to read every single word. Hence why I was a slow reader. And I have, like I said, practiced not having to subvocalize every word and just being able to look at words and understand the meaning. And that has helped, but I'm still that same person who wants to read every single word. So the thought of skipping pages, let alone a sentence even, why? I can't do it. Question number 10, breaking the spine or keeping it like new? Y'all know, keep it like new. I understand the people who like breaking the spines. I understand. You love your books. I get it. It's not that you don't love your books. It's because you love your books. And you want them to look like they're loved, and you want them to be, it's practical to be able to hold them in certain ways, especially if it's like a mass market paperback, God forbid. Those spines can be really stiff, and so you have to break it in order to read it comfortably. So I get it, but it hurts my soul a little bit. I don't like the look of it on the shelves. I actually have some, they're right here, these black mass market paperbacks. Their spines are broken because I read them as kids. I read them over and over again as a kid, and so the spine it broke. I wasn't as picky back then anyway. I didn't have, my own giant wall of books like I do now. But I like to have pretty books, so I prefer not breaking the spines and keeping it like new. And the last question is, do you write in your books? No. As I've mentioned before, I was in advanced English classes in high school, and they were hard, and they made me read a lot of books, and they made me write in pretty much every single book. They made me annotate every single book, and if you didn't have enough annotations, you wouldn't get a good grade. So I wrote in books a lot in high school. It was just annoying. It was annoying, okay? There's not enough space for me to write in books, and the highlighters often bleed into the next page. I didn't like it. I wonder if I can show you. My husband and I went to the same high school, so this is actually his, but it was on the top of the stack, so I'm just gonna use it as an example. But you can tell kind of like you had to write a bunch in books. So, and this is mass market paperback, so guess what? The spine is broken. But it was not fun. It was not a good time. I associate annotations with negative feelings because I had to annotate for school. However, sometimes, honestly, I'll come across like quotes in a book or sections that just really, they hit me in just the right way, and it makes me want to highlight it and to write how I feel about it. So I do have the urge to sometimes, and you know, maybe I will in the future. Maybe someday I'll write in books. I don't know, never say never. But for now, it's not a thing I like to do. Especially because that's the other thing. My husband and I have very similar reading taste, and so we share books. He reads the same books I do. So if I highlighted something or wrote something, it would be there when he's then going through and reading the book. Usually, I say it that way because usually I'm reading the book first before him. But I feel like that would be really distracting for me. Like if he was the first person to read the book and he wrote in it, and then I turn the page and I see like, oh, there's some annotations on the next page, that would just be, it'd be distracting to me. And it wouldn't be mine, so it wouldn't be like as special. It wouldn't, I don't do it. That's the answer to the question. I don't do it. I don't write in my books. But I don't mind, like if other people want to, that's fine. That's their prerogative. It's okay. And that's it. That's all the questions for this tag. I am going to leave you with a quote from The Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And it's two people talking to each other. So you're first person. It's not natural for women to fight. You're your second person. It's not natural for someone to be as stupid as he is tall, yet here you stand. I just really liked that. I love it when there's some kind of feminist commentary where somebody actually has a prejudice and they say something that's clearly prejudice and the other person calls them out on it. It's great. It's wonderful. It made me smile. I hope it made you smile. And I will leave you with that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you would please consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. But in any case, please leave a comment down below, maybe answering some of these questions for yourself. I would love to chat with you about your book habits. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.